Variable syntax, how to define a variable index and what are the advantages of variables. We will discuss it now. So how you can define a variable. So this is the syntax for the variable. So the name of the variable, the name of the variable should be preceded with the reserved word or the keyword called var. So followed by this keyword, you need to define your variable name. And then followed by this, you have the equal sign, and after, followed on the right side of the equal sign, we specify the expression. We use the expression. Okay. Learning how to use variables is extremely crucial. Okay. So in this case, in the case of DAX, the var should followed by the return here. Okay. Whenever you declare any variable, it should be followed, or the var should followed by the return. Okay, it should be coupled with, and you can define more than one variable also. At each variable, you don't have to specify return. Okay, but end of the day, when you use var, and you need to use return. Okay, for example, I'm going to define a variable something like this is var, and I just say a equal to 20. And I'm going to define another variable, b is equal to 30. Okay, and I'm going to return the value. So return. In this case, I don't return both the variable. Sorry, return. And what I do is a plus b into 10, something like that. Okay, you can specify the expression here also. Or you can specify the expression here also. You can define it something like var a is equivalent to 20 and var b is equivalent to a into or a plus 10 and return b. Okay, and in this case, the name is the name of the variable. And so this is the one a or b, these are the name of the variable. The name of the variable should be preceded with the var. This is the keyword, okay? And you have to use return whenever you use var, okay? And variable names must begin with the letters A to Z, and anywhere between A and Z in the alphabet, or capital A to Z. And only other supported characters with variable names are the character 0 to 9. You can use the mix of both the alphabet and digits, but the numeric values should not be used. Okay, you cannot create a variable with numbers. Okay, and your variable should not be start with the number value. For example, 9 or 8, 8a 20. The variable name should not start with a number. Okay, so these are the basic rules that you need to be aware by before you declaring the variables. And existing table names and the reserved words are not permitted as variable names. It will throw an error. And finally, the dash calculation that use a var statement must also use a return statement. That is what I told you earlier. And the next one is why to use variables. The variables is not specific to Power BI, so or DAX, right? So you know very well, we define variables in almost all the programming languages. You take any programming languages without variable, you would have used variable, right? You must use variables. So why we use the variables? Why we need to use the variables? To store the result of an expression with a name, so that you can use that variable name in the subsequent line of your code, wherever it is required, right? You can use that variable name in the subsequent line of code instead of using the expression itself. Because if you use the expression in your code, redundantly, it is not in the readable form. For example, I just want to do something like this. For example, a is equivalent to 8 plus or something like this one. What is that? One example is, okay. For example, I'm going to use something like, okay, sales amount. For example, the sales amount. Let's say this is your table 1, T1, sales minus the cost, something like that, okay? T1, and this is T1. Okay, you are subtracting the cost from your selling price, you get the profit. Okay, something like that. You just think that way. Okay, and then you have some other thing like, or let's say you want to find out the adjusted budget. Adjusted budget. In that case, you have used a variable as, let's say you have defined this a variable A, or I'll write it neatly here. For example, A is equivalent to T1 of, T1 is your table name. Okay, I'm using a short name so that you can easily understand the cost. Okay, and this is your adjusted budget. The variable name is adjusted or the budget. And here the variable name is var A. Okay, and then next one is here something like that. Let's say you have something called the same table T1. In this table, you have something called the unit price and multiplied by T1, the extended amount or something like extended amount. You have something like this, the logic. Okay. And when you use return here, return, you have to use return. Okay. And in this return, okay, in this return, if I use a simple logic, if, for example, A greater than B, then you return A or else B. Very simple. If you don't use variable at all, what will happen? You put this entire expression here, T1 sales minus T1 cost is greater than this one. You will have to put the expression, comma, you need to put this expression. Again, it is a redundant one. Okay, and again, you need to put this one if you don't use a variable. Hope with this example, you are able to understand with variable how we can make our code more readable. All right, sir. We will see you next weekend. Okay, bye. So with variable, we can improve the readability of the code, and also we can reduce the size of the code. With this example, you understood how we can reduce the code with the variables, and also the debugging is pretty simple when you use variables. And when you use variable, the performance will be better because the number of lines are less, hence the performance will be faster. Okay. And also we can use the variables in calculator column, and we can use the variables in the calculator measures, and you can use the variables. A variable can contain tables too. And nesting variables also possible. Anyhow, I will discuss everything in detail as we move further. As part of the DAX itself, I'll discuss everything in the later section.